Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today checking out some beer from a new German brewery in Neumünster. Neumünster, I think that's how you say it, in Germany. It's quite close to Hamburg. And it's quite famous in Denmark because it's like a place where I think they have a big discount like shopping mall. Kind of like you go to outlet stores in the States. I think it's a similar thing. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't been myself. That's not something I'm that interested into, but I love beer, and they got a brewery now. So I've never been to Neumünster myself, but Henning, who runs this brewery, or him and a friend run it, but he's part owner of the brewery, contacted me and said he's been following the channel for a few years. He started a brewery with a friend, and he would like for me to try his beers and see what I thought. So thanks a ton to Henning for the beers. We'll see what I think. So the brewery in question is called Wittorfer Brauerei. And it's funny, he's called Henning. I think that's how you pronounce it, but that was what my grandfather was called as well, on my mother's side. So they're a brewery in Neumünster, and I'm not sure if Neumünster has other breweries, but there's a story about in one of these beers about Neumünster, an old Neumünster brewery. But we're starting off with two of the beers because Henning's in a ton, like lots of IPAs. There's like stouts, sours, like kettle sours, but I thought these would be fun to start with because they're lagers and more traditional geared beers. And I kind of felt like a lager too today. So we're checking out their 04321 Helles Stadtbier, so a Helles lager, and the D.H. Hinselmann Dunkles Arbeiterbier, which is like a, I guess, Munich style Dunkel lager or a Dunkel lager. So two very traditional beer styles from Germany. I love, especially like the lighter lagers like Helles. I love Stadtbier, Kellerbier, those kind of beers. I love Pilsners. I've gotten really into lagers this last year or so plus. Mostly when I drink beer off camera, I try to get good craft lagers nowadays. I love when you do like craft lagers with gentle dry hopping of maybe modern or traditional hops just to give it a slight sing. I think they can be really nice. And I think that's what you call the Italian style Pilsner nowadays because of Tipo Pils. But this will be really fun to try. I mean, I'm dying for thirst-quenching lagers. I think we should start with the Helles here, 04321, which I think is an area code because it just mentions loads of different areas or streets or something like that in the city on the back. And that's about it. So this even came with a glass for the beer. So let's check it out. I mean, it looks like what you'd expect from a Helles. And I guess, like being a German brewery, even though you're doing modern craft beers, you kind of also have to make some traditional stuff. Especially if it's in smaller cities where craft beer isn't really a thing yet. Then I think something like this is a must. But yeah, it looks like a Helles. Lightly golden yellow. Slightly hazy. Even though I don't think if there's yeast in the can. I'm not sure if it's can conditioned. But it looks like there was a bit of yeast in the Dunkel when I poured it out. And a white head. Let's check out the aroma. Yeah, that smells really nice. It's so nice when it's almost. I don't think I've been to Germany. Of course, there's macro stuff. That's like macro Helles and macro Pilsners that are not that great, but like almost small brewed craft lagers in Germany often just smells exactly how you want them to. And this smells like that for me. Like, no off flavor. It just smells pure and clean and crisp. And it's just, my saliva is going nuts right now. I really just want to drink it. I'm getting like exactly like a Helles should be. Like sweet malt character, like sweet crisp Pilsner malt. It even has like a little bit of a honey, kind of bready note. Like honey malt kind of thing. And then a little bit of nice breadiness there. Just crisp and clean. A nice like touch of floral hops. Fuck, that smells so refreshing. And it's like subtle hopping because it's a Helles. But let's try it. Cheers, and thanks to Henning for the beers. Yeah. Oh, that is really refreshing. I would like to have a case of this. Like, I'd say a Helles is almost more drinkable than a Pilsner because the hopping is more soft. That's a fucking great Helles. That's a fucking great Helles. Just by drinking their lager, I already think this brewery has promise. Just because, if you nail a lager, there you go. Fuck, it's good. It's like even got like that kind of slight. So people talk about clean flavors in lagers often, but Pilsner yeast or lager yeasts, lager yeast often also have flavors like a little bit of esters, and they have a little bit of they have that kind of slightly sulfuric note in small doses. I think it's kind of nice, and this has like a little bit of that kind of lager yeasty fruitiness. Like it's not the same like overripe fruitiness. It's more of a light fruitiness compared to like ale esters. Oh, I could just drink this by the bucket. Fuck, I love lager so much now. The fun thing is I'm drinking lager more than I'm drinking like as everyday kind of beer or whatever. If you go to events, whatever. If I go to a bar, I look for lagers before I look for IPAs and stouts and shit nowadays. It's so weird. I think the others are great too. Of course, still love them. But there's just something refreshing about this. Have 2 or 3 or so, something like that, and then maybe finish on a stout. I don't know, something like that. But this is great. I've almost drunk the entire beer just talking about it, but it's just so refreshing. And look at the lacing. Super floral, lemony, limey. Fantastic Hellas. I drank almost the entire can. Holy crap. So, moving on to the Dunkel lager. So this is the Munich Dunkel lager, famous for using Munich malt. Of course, some caramel malts too, otherwise I don't think you'd get as dark a color. And this is called D.H. Hinselmann, because it has a story on the back about it was one of the original breweries of the area or something like that, and it says it's something that what workers would drink. No, it says Tuch und Leder. So a leather factory. The people at a leather factory in Neumünster. So I got it wrong when I read it the first time. Would drink Dunkel beer, but it was brewed by a brewery called D.H. Hinselmann, which is named after, and I don't think that exists anymore. So yeah, it's just like they want to bring back old traditional Neumünster brewing art. So I think this is like an attempt to, bring some history back of the beer in the area. This looks like, as I said, a Dunkel lager, a Munich style Dunkel. It's like this nice dark brown, slightly copper color, tan head. This kind of goes along with the brown ales of the world for me. It's not my favorite style. But that being said, this can still be a nice example. Judging by the Helles, they got their lager game on point. So let's find out. Nice tan head too. It's a bit mild actually. Much more mild than I expected. I mean, it's definitely got that bready, slightly caramely, toffee, toasted malt kind of flavor you get from Munich malt. Now the fun thing though, I picked up something just briefly that reminded me of DMS, which is the cooked vegetable thing. All flavor, but it was just briefly. Now it's kind of gone, so I'm not sure if there's any in there. It has like that like toffee caramelly vibes. It's almost like the lager version of a brown ale. And I think that's why I've never gotten really into Dunkel lagers either. I prefer a bit, like with the dark beers, I prefer the heft. So if I'd have a dark lager that'd be hefty, I'd have a Doppelbock. And if I have like a dark beer, maybe that might be why I like Imperial Brown Ale with things more than I like, a regular brown ale. But it still smells pretty much on point. So let's try it. Cheers. Yeah, it is pretty much. Oh, that's much sweeter than I expected. Interesting. It had like a single sweetness up front. I didn't expect that. It really tastes like an interesting. So it's not maybe as like nutty and caramelly as some Dunkel lagers I've had. It's more. It's definitely got some of it, but not like full on. And it has like this flavor that really like it reminds me of like. What is it? It's like this sweet toffee malt thing. It reminds me of Danish Hvidøl. Hvidøl is a sweet kind of lager. Originally it was an ale, but the new rendition of this has become a lager, and it's like a low strength. It's like 1.92% alcohol beer made with sugar and malt extract and sometimes also licorice coloring. I think it's something like that. It's like this sweet malt beverage. It almost tastes like the kind of like malt beverage, sweet malt beverages you can get around the world, but just with alcohol in it. It's ended up tasting more like that. It's like one of the historic Danish beer styles that still kind of exists, but it's like children even drink it here, even though it's like almost 2% alcohol, but it's not a lot. Like you usually have it for Christmas, and you have it with rice porridge. It's like very traditional Danish stuff. It reminds me like you mix that with a Dunkel lager. That being said, no off flavors or anything I'm picking up at all. It tastes pretty on point, but my money is on the Helles, man. Again, I prefer the lighter lagers like Helles, what's it called, Pilsner, and Kellerbier, Zwickel, whatever, all those, hazy, fermented without pressure lagers, or lagers fermented without pressure. But this is still good, so. Yeah, toffee, caramel, sweet bready, biscuity malt flavor. No hops really, but this is my jam. Oh, going back to this is just so refreshing. That is a great Helles. I'm gonna finish that. It's like my first beer in like 9 days or something like that, but it's really good. It's really refreshing. So yeah, rating wise, this one straight 90, dead on Helles. I mean, really refreshing, really drinkable. This is a 4 on Untappd for me for a Helles. I fucking enjoy that a lot. This, on the other hand, for me, it's a personal preference thing. I'm not that into it. It's okay, but I prefer the Helles, that's for sure. But I think if you like Munich Dunkel lagers, you'd like this a lot. Rating wise, what are we gonna say? Like an 83, 82, something like that. Early 80s. This would be like a 3.5 for me on Untappd. It's a decent beer, but it's nothing that's gonna rock my world. But this, I would like to drink by the boatload. This is great Helles. So, yeah, guys, that does it for my review of the Wittorfer 04321 Helles Stadtbier and the D.H. Hinselmann Dunkles Arbeitsbier. Fun stuff to try. Thanks a ton for sending out some beers, Henning. Stay tuned for more beers from these guys. There's like New England IPAs, double IPAs. There's a barrel-aged stout. I think it's rum barrel-aged. There's a milk stout with chocolate. There's different fruited sours. They have a lot of stuff going on, which is really cool. So it'll be fun to try them. Stay tuned for that. Again, thanks to Henning and the guys at Wittorfer for the beers. And if you had any of these, let me know what you thought of them. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I'm going to say cheers and what's left. And see you guys in another beer review.